In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to my Kagero deck profile. It's gonna be Kagero standard, and our main man here will be Dragonic Waterfall. So, as I go through the cards, I'm gonna explain each of their skills and how they correlate with each other on how, team based. I mean, no, not team based. What do you mean? Cut that out. On how they perform as a deck. Okay, so let's start with the starter. We'll have one Lizard Runner Undu. Our grade 3s, of course, we have 4 Waterfall. It's a need or a must. So we have 4 Waterfall. And our second grade 3 will be 4 Dragonic Overlords. You don't really need Cruel Dragon. You could swap out 2 of these for Cruel Dragon for early game pressure, but I don't really see, because this is a good rear guard. If you have more soul, you can put this in the rear guard and use his extra 10k boost. So is a really nice card to have, but it really depends. But in my opinion, I prefer 4, but you can also run 2 Cruel Dragon or 4 Overlords. Next, we'll get to the grade 2s. For Berserk Dragon, skill when placed, Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and if this unit is in a Vanguard, draw a card. So, this is obviously your best grade 2 right now, because you can activate its skill by Counter Blasting and Soul Blasting, even though the opponent doesn't have a rear guard. So you can draw a card if this is your Vanguard, that is. So if you ride this as your Vanguard, Counter Blast 1, you can, even though your opponent doesn't have rear guards, you can still draw a card. So very nice to have. And he's also a rear guard. He has a rear guard skill plus 3000. So he's a 13k attacker in the rear guard. Next, we have 4 Dragonic Nihalem from the Trial deck. When placed, Counter Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guard in the back row, and this unit gets plus 5k. So it's a 15k attacker when placed, and you have to retire 1 back row. Next, this is very what they call this, people debate about it. I run 3 Dragon Armor Knight over Bellicosity Dragon. Why? Because I think that if you're not able to use Waterfall, and Bellicosity is just a 10k attacker, while he's a 15k attacker and it's just going straight. Unlike Bellicosity, where there will be turns where you won't get to retire, so Bellicosity stays at 10. So he's a very nice 15k attacker, passive attacker. Now we'll get to grade 1s. I run 4 Flame of Hope Ermo. He's an 11k booster, and when your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, you can retire this unit and draw a card and countercharge 1. So what's good about this is you can still use its skill after it attacks. So you have your rear guard or your Vanguard, and they attack and boost, and when they're done boosting, you can retire, counter charge, and draw a free card. So this is a nice card to have in case if you want to play defensive on your next turn. You can use his skill, or if you need to free up your counter blasts. So it's very nice to have. Next is something that people don't usually run. I run 4 Lizard Soldier Ryopia. His skill is whenever an opponent's rear guard is retired during this turn, it gets plus 5k. So this works well with your Nihalem, Berserk Dragon, and Bar later on. And the reason why I run him as 4 while Bar is only 3, because we already have Nihalem and Berserk Dragon to retire. So I use 4 so that I could put it behind Waterfall, because the turn you ride Waterfall, on the Vanguard, and then you call him, he automatically gets plus 5k, so it's a 13k. And if you have more, if you have more cards to retire, like you have Nehalem, use Nehalem, or use Bar or someone else to retire an opponent's rear guard, he'll constantly gain plus 5k. So that's what you want behind Waterfall. So I run him more than Bar because it gives more power and more control over the enemy, unlike this one, because it's good, but I preferred running 4 of these instead of 4 of these for Dragonic Waterfalls end game, his finisher. And the last is 3 Dragonic Gaias. This one is good to um, pressure. Like, if you could put this in the rear guard, if your rear guard is Dragonic Overlord, you could put this behind it. And the combo is that when you attack with um, Waterfall, and you have your Overlord here, obviously your opponent would guard this. They would guard this, because it has 2 crits. Let's say your opponent's at 4, so they have to guard this. And let's say they are successfully guarded, but you still have, like, they could block your other attack. So what's good with this? You could use him as a you could put him in the soul, you could soul charge him and counterblast 1 and give a crit to its boost. So you could use Overlord skill, so it's 23. When you attack with him, use his skill and give Overlord an extra crit. So he's an alternate. If the opponent manages to stop your Waterfall finish, you could use Overlord with Dragonic Gaias instead of Waterfall, because it's a high attack. It's 23. You're hitting that magic number, and it's a very good alternate finisher if you don't get to ride or finish with your Dragonic Waterfall. Now with our triggers, obviously we run 4 heals. And here's something. I do 6 crit and 6 draw. Obviously 4 of them are going to be the PG draw triggers. And the reason why I think running 6 crit would be good is because you could increase your hand with this, because Kagero isn't really much of a defensive, it's more offensive. And also it contributes to making your hand bigger because of Overlord's skill, which makes you discard 2 and he gets to attack again. So it's really risky. So I prefer putting more or 2 more draw triggers. So because there will be times where you won't get to have your Waterfall, right? So you have, like, to improvise. So Dragonic Overlord's still a good card. He's not good early on because your opponent could just PG that, but he's good late on because he acts as a rear guard. Usually, if you already have Waterfall, Dragonic Overlord will be a good rear guard for you. And the reason why I have this is because if I want to stand Overlord again, I already have a draw trigger to discard and something else probably. And that's about it for this deck profile. I already said all the skills and why I prefer using this and that over other cards. And obviously we run force markers. And thank you for watching.